You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 14th, 2023 meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission, April 14th. We'll call the meeting to order at 1:03. There you go, President Bob LeMay.
Here, Mr. Rowe. Hear him. Your Zoom participant, Woodrow, is not muted.
Somebody's not muted.
Mute Woodrow. Somebody's saying Woodrow's not muted.
I can see that.
Sorry. I thought it was muted. I'm going to mute.
Thank you, sir.
Ken Kloster's not going to be here. He may try he's up in the UP, his house is getting flooded. Joy Schmidt?
Here.
Pete Bible? Yes. Joe Jagman?
Here.
Approval minutes from the previous meeting. Everybody got the minutes last night?
Motion to approve?
She's here.
I'll second.
By Bob May, second by Joy Schmidt. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Chris, since we're all here, do we have to do a hand vote?
No, we're good.
Okay. All those opposed, nay? Passed. Next up is the commissioner's report. For March, we had 23 permits with construction costs $557,939. It's generated fees of $6,657. We received 176 calls on permits and/or information requests. We responded to and/or sent 452 emails. I attended the CDA federal and state MS4 certified inspector training. Completed the federal and state MS4 certification exam and became certified as a federal and state MS4 inspector. We also completed the 67th site visit, 18 inspection. Through a collaborative effort, we also submitted our MS4 permit for the town of Long Beach to the state and FEMA. We got that back. There were some adjustments that had to be made. We made those adjustments, but it was permitted timely, so we're in good shape. Next up, under the building commissioner, everybody should have gotten a copy last night of the sheets that are building permit requirements. There seems to be, I think Bob, you made mention of it. We seem to get an awful lot of incomplete applications or no drawings attached, not the right problem drawing. And I'll just, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to read through these. This is what we're going to photo on the wall here and on the website. These are our standard procedures, but I just want to read through them. And if anybody has anything to add, let me know. All building permit applications must conform to the requirements of the town of Long Beach ordinances, which are available online at longbeachim.org. As you all know, you can search the ordinances yourself by going through each one, or you can get to the published ordinances and search by word. In keeping with or in addition to the requirements of those ordinances, following guidelines are mandatory. Number one, it is the applicant's responsibility to understand and conform to the ordinances under which they are applying for a permit. It is not the building commission's responsibility to do the research for the applicant. Building commission meetings are held on the second Friday of each month at 1 p.m. in the council chambers. Permit applications must be received by the Friday before the meeting to be considered and reviewed. All contractors must be registered. This includes landscape and arborist contractors. Permit applications must be filled out legibly. That's a constant problem. I mean, some of these applications look like my 4-year-old granddaughter filled them out. And Chris, I'm going to ask you about this. Permit applications must be signed by the owner or owners legally eligible. If you could just make sure that we've got the right verbiage there for me.
Sure.
Number 7, permit applications must be received in full with proper documentation by the Friday before the meeting in order to be considered and reviewed at the meeting. To be considered, permit applications must be complete and include, but not limited to, the following: a legible permit application. An applicant's email must be included with all application. Permit notification, information, and communications will take place through email. The appropriate fee must be paid. Pardon me. Legible drawings must be received in both hard copy and PDF form. A legible site plan with coverage calculations must be included for any permit, which increases the footprint of any item on the property. This includes landscaping. If a permit is approved, the applicant will be notified by email. The applicant/permit holder is responsible for calling the building inspector and setting up a pre-construction meeting. The building inspector will bring a hard copy of the permit to that meeting. Inspections are mandatory. The applicant is responsible for setting up inspections with the building inspector. Please read and understand the ordinances. The building commission cannot approve permits that do not conform to the ordinances. Anybody have anything to add to that?
The only thing, Larry, is where it says in 8E about when they have to put in coverage calculations, says this includes landscaping. Do we want to put parentheses, includes artificial turf, includes gravel, stairs?
Sure.
Just to make it totally clear to people, because that's an issue that comes up a lot. Decking.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, that's pretty simple. Next up is fine structure. I think most of us were of the understanding or opinion, I guess I should say, that all of our building departments fines started at 500 after our last request. And we've since found out, we've been talking to Chris, that that's not the case. So I want to make sure that we understand, or at least everybody understands or wants to. That's what we want. Is that the feeling of everybody on the building commission?
I was under the impression that we had increased it to $500 for people who were building without a permit and for unregistered contractors. And I believe that was the no permit, I thought was for the owners and for the contractors each. However, Chris, and I don't want to speak for Chris, and he'll chime in here in a minute, but I believe, feels that the $500 fine was just for unregistered contractors. Chris, was that what?
Well, I think it's a hybrid there. The intention, it's somehow not captured, but what was adopted by the town was only changing the unregistered contractors. And there is applicability of unregistered contractor fines to both the homeowner and the contractor. But the rest of those were not changed. They were not part of the ordinance that went through the APC or the public hearings or before the town council. So Larry and I have subsequently, and had some conversation, and I believe, Dr. LeMay, that you've initiated or will before the APC having a conversation that there are many that they just aren't reconciled. And so summarizing those, and what I suggest is with that initiation of the conversation with the APC, that I anticipate a proposed ordinance that they're going to consider, that gets run by the building commission so that everybody is on the same page. Because what was passed before was circulated, but that way everybody can make sure that those minimum fines mesh, that we're addressing all of the various parts of the code, and then, before we go through that process. And I've already started and pulled all of those to be able to show the APC, where the fines stand now and what the building commission's preference is going forward.
So,
Okay, great.
Chris, APC meets on Monday. I don't imagine you're gonna have that ready for Monday evening, are you?
We can certainly have together the parameters of that, yes, in that ordinance, because it's really filling in what they did before on the building or unregistered contractors. And then they could set a public hearing on that. So I think that could move forward without further delay if that's what the building commission, because then you and I can represent to the APC that, on the recommendation of the building commission, that these code sections need to change.
Okay, let's plan to do that then Monday night. I'll just add that to the agenda at that meeting. I guess my thought is if just talking about registration and permits, it seems to me contractors should certainly be aware that they need a permit, that they need to be registered. I guess the concern I have is, does every homeowner then need to call and make sure his contractor is registered? Does he need to check up on him? Because I had a contractor who was registered and he wasn't.
So then when we go through some of this back and forth, what we've talked about, and like Larry updating these applications, and then now that the town council has approved this software, everybody being aware and making them acknowledge that they accept responsibility. So again, I think my recommendation to you is, the public education portion of it so that everybody understands, and then making them have to take an action to acknowledge that they accept responsibility. The code is going to say it, so they're responsible for knowing the code. But I think the more we can do to make them be proactive and acknowledge it, if they just check it and they don't read it, they accept the responsibility. The code will put the responsibility there. So I think all of this timely will work together with Larry's proposed changes as well.
Okay, that, I don't know, what did we just say? We did, my goal was to make sure that everybody on that building commission or expects that that's what the final start at 500. And I don't know if it would be best to have a motion and that's fine.
So are we talking 500 all violations, or are we just talking registration and permits?
Registration and permits, most other violations, like if it's involved in the, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. If it involves the shore protection ordinance, those fines start at $1,000.
Yeah, well, but here's it. So Larry, that's a good point that you and I discussed I think that land disturbance, because there was one recent with regard to that if it was applicable, that fine doesn't even match. So if we're moving a dune, it's different in the shore protection ordinance than it is. And I sent you guys that a couple of weeks ago, you and Lou, but I think that it should be those as well if you want them to reconcile. I don't care if it's $1 or if it's 500 in terms of what you ultimately decide. I'm just trying to make the point that there was another one that if that land disturbance, whatever those general sections are, should meet the number that you want. So is it just building? Is it any violation? I need that direction for sure.
I'll speak for myself first, and I think this was the tenor of the group. What we expected or thought was going to happen, that every fine that comes or citation that comes from the building commission starts at a $500 fine. And the reason behind that was we had people knowingly violating the ordinances, knowing that it was only going to cost them $100. So it happened. Lou, how often did it happen? Lou would write tickets and the people would say fine. And then 2 days later, they're back to the same thing. So this was an effort to stop that. And I think it probably has helped. But I'm of the opinion, and I think I'll ask everybody else to speak, that we want our fines, all of our fines to start at 500 and then move according to whatever that schedule is in the ordinances. I think the second day is 750, then it goes to 1,000 and then 2,500. Bob?
And that's if they can, so that increasing schedule is if they continue to do what, say you tell them, you're moving this dune, you have to stop $500. Next day they move more of the dune, that's 750. And are there any fines that we don't think, and I'll ask you in lieu of this, are there any fines that you don't think should be $500?
There's one fines that are listed there are specifically less than $500.
Okay,
So, I don't know what they are, they're scattered through all things, but in general, if a fine does not carry its own specific, if an ordinance doesn't carry its own specific fine, then it falls down to the 99 category. And those are the ones that start up, and they're phrased like, I think the first one's up to 500. The second one is up to 750, and then 1250.
but it doesn't have to be there.
Doesn't have to. Well, and there are other ones as well that have specific designations for it, but if it has one listed, then that's what we can do, so we have to take an inventory of what those are. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Pete, if I heard you right, you're talking about the 99, right? That does say not less than 100, not more than 2,500. And then there, for first violation, not less than 500, not more than 75. I guess the issue is, in the shoreline protection ordinance, when there's alteration of topography that's not authorized, the fine starts at $1,000, and then it's 2,500, and then 7,500. I just think there needs to be some leaving that open-ended. So not having a permit, for instance, there's nothing that let me see here. I'm looking at what Larry and I and Lou were having a discussion about, what the regime provides already. So sorry about that. My window's open here in the office. So I don't know if you want it to be that open-ended. The issue for me is just consistency and making sure that the fine amounts are properly cited and consistent. That open-endedness, I'm not really sure of what the point or what we're trying to accomplish there, because that's a pretty wide array of fines there.
I'm going to ask you, Joy.
I think all the building commission fines should start at $500.
Okay. Joe? So Chris, I don't know if you could hear those two, or Joe, pardon me.
I couldn't hear Joe. I could hear Joy.
I agree. So I think we'd like it, and that seems to be the general consensus here, is that all of our fines that are citations issued through the building department will start at 500. And whatever we need to do to make that happen, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Pete just showed me that Article 7, monetary penalty, that's 151.999, says any person violating any provision of this chapter for which no fine is specified is subject to a fine in the sum of $100 for the first violation, $500 for the second, not to exceed $2,500 for each successive violation. So if we don't cover them all, this covers it.
And we'd like to change that to start at 500.
Even for some.
I think I'll go through these. I think we need to list what these things are that exist out there. The 500 is fine, but I'll make sure we don't end up getting somebody 500 or specify for 100. So I'll go through these and identify. Okay, great. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, next up, 1302 Lakeshore Drive. That house completely burned to the ground on Tuesday. I was out there with the fire department and I talked with the owners and the contractor. It will be some time before all the insurance investigators are done, but their wish is to rebuild. There's really not much demo because the whole thing burned up, but rebuild the house, the exact same house in Salem. So that happened last year. I don't know if you guys remember that when it happened on 2900 Linda. So I want to make sure that we're consistent. What we did there was they did make some changes. They increased something on that house, if I remember correctly. And they paid the difference between what their good dollar amount was, the old dollar, the 1%. So I wanted to find out what everybody's feeling was about this situation. Same house, same drawing, same builder, same owner.
I would suggest that they've already been through the trauma of having their brand new house burned down. I would say if there's absolutely no changes, that will permit, we just simply give them an extension.
Okay. Pete, you okay with that?
Yeah, were there any septic issues on this? I mean,
They're hooked up to the sewer.
that's one of the concerns.
Yeah.
I second that, Bob.
Joy,
I agree.
okay, that's what we'll do. On old business, beach stairs, I have not gotten the letter out. I may end up having to ask one of you guys to give me a hand on that. It just seems to always fall in my pile. And I apologize, but I just don't have it done yet. Next, 11, MS4 requirements. We did complete the Town of Long Beach stormwater permit application. It was filed before the deadline of April 1st. We are in compliance. There are many requirements that we have to meet. And I've already gone over all this with you guys about why we are, and I think everybody understands that. This is what they call BMPs, or best management practices, from this is a field manual from Elkhart County. And since it was built, compiled, done with public money, it's public property. Reggie's going to get with them to see if they will allow her to put it in a digital format. And what we would do, much the same as we do with the state building codes, we would adopt this as our best management practices. There's still, Reggie is not, we don't have an ordinance yet. I take that back. We do have an ordinance, but right now, the way the ordinance reads, it was in compliance with the county and state and FEMA, was that any property over 1 acre has to have their own permit. There is a move afoot to have a lot of the smaller towns include in their ordinances that it would take place, or that the people would have to get their own permit, even if it was under 1 acre. Even if you're under 1 acre, you still have to comply with all the rules. It doesn't negate the enforcement of the rules. What it does is it takes the state requirement of filing a NOI, or a notice of intent, and then the permit itself. So that really is more of an APC and town council thing than us. Correct, Chris?
I'm sorry, Larry, I could barely hear you.
Okay, sorry. I'll get with you later. I don't think we need a vote or anything on it.
But did we get an ordinance? I mean, Reggie was going to draft an ordinance.
She wasn't going to draft an ordinance. She was going to help us. Chris, maybe I could ask you to speak to this. We have an ordinance that says that you have to conform to MS4 requirements. Those requirements throughout the state of Indiana are any property over 1 acre has to file their own permit. Most of the smaller communities are trying to, or want to, include language such that if it was under 1 acre.
Right, I got that. I just didn't know who had drafted.
I'd ask Chris for some help on that.
Yeah, I've been prepared because I know that's coming down the pike. So, I mean, most of those are be very similar to what happened for the flood stuff. So, floodplain. So most of those will be canned and tailored to, the town's specific needs.
Thanks, Chris. Next up is the Coastal Resiliency Group. If you remember, they responded, we had a Zoom meeting with them and they have now responded. They told us they would get back to us by the end of March, which they did. They've got a meeting set up for 5/5 Zoom meeting. We're going to find out what they plan on helping us with. I also found out through the MS4 program that there are connections there, and actually Reggie is just getting on this group's board, that there are grants available through that group that the park department would be able to avail themselves to help with the outflows in each one of the staff. So we're exploring that as well. Pete, Bob, myself, Joy, were you on that now? On that Zoom meeting?
The chief told me there was one on 5/20. Maybe it was
All right,
one.
I'll double check. I think it's 5/5.
You know, I just sent that out to you and Pete, so you'll see it on your email, and if it is a different date, or I guess we can forward it to Joy too.
We'll take a look.
Joy, you want a copy of that? You want, okay, I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
Is this one?
But it's the same. Me,
Yeah.
it's 20.
Yeah, it's the 20th,
Was it the 20th?
Okay.
I'll change it. I know it was the 12th.
and I'll send it to Joy.
But when we first talked to Bridget, we talked about getting grants and stuff like that to do certain projects. This one doesn't seem to say that. This is, talking about communities that withstand, recover, adapt to climate change and all that stuff. Maybe that's what this.
Maybe, yeah, it's hard to say.
Hmm?
It's hard to say. I guess we have a tendency what they say.
I mean, I don't quite get what this one is. I mean, I thought the one we were gonna have was a meeting where they would come back to us with some potential solutions for us.
That's what this meeting is. That's my understanding, Pete, and I may be wrong, but I thought that was the same group. Could be met with on the Zoom.
Yeah, but the first, I'll find it somewhere. I got an email talking about May 5th meeting. And that was clearer, what they were going to provide to us. This is an April 20th meeting, which I'm confused.
Okay, I'm on the May 5th. I don't, the 20th, I probably haven't seen, Bob, if you just forwarded that, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, April, it's April 20th. April 20th.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. The one on 5/5, Pete, is the one that they're gonna tell us what they're gonna do to help us. The one on April 20th, I'll have to look at that. And if you guys want to send me a copy of that as well. Okay. 13 building department software. The contract was approved. The software will be purchased. I understand, I didn't get any communication that the contract get signed and you sent it in. Oh, okay. It was signed, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent it, yeah.
Yeah, we got coordinator to sign.
Okay, I'll get it to you then, we'll get that done. And then we'll move toward implementation of that, of the software, which will hopefully resolve some of the problems that we have with these building permit applications. Next up is the solar ordinance. I spoke to Ken, again, our thoughts are with him. He's got a house up in the UP, and the spring melt has caused some big problems for him up there. But he's completed all of his research. He's got a draft ordinance or draft information ready to go. We're waiting on the fire department input. I had just talked to them, and they have to be in this monstrous fire. If we can't get anybody next week, I think I'd suggest that we just move along with what Ken has. 1612 Indianapolis. Chris reached out to the property owner's attorney. That individual was unavailable and a meeting will be set when he returns. I think he returned sometime Captain's Walk property, land disturbance permit. This has been on here for a couple of months. They did not have the proper MS4 permits. The NOI, or notice of intent, must be filed and approved by the IDM. Stormwater, they call it SWIP, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan is needed. That also must be submitted and approved by the IDM. Wetland delineation will be needed. Once those items are completed, they would come back to town, FEMA and the state, IDEM, I should say. And once those items are received, then the town can review the permits and plans. Honored sent out an email, which I saw this morning at 4:30, that I think some of these items are complete. I did not get a chance to review it. I don't know if any of you guys looked at it. Anybody look at it? Joe? Pete? No. So I sent an email to her, to the architect this morning, and explained to her what our procedures are, and that we would take a look at what she sent us and get back to her and find out if it was enough. 2803 Lindale. It's a simple shed that we're waiting on a state. That's one that's on a corner and has 30-foot setbacks. The original drawing had shed only 20 feet from the Brentwood side. We need to have them show us that it's 30 feet from both sides. 2317 Hazeltine. That was the one that we had at the last meeting where the information was submitted. There was some of the information. The application wasn't complete as of the cutoff. That information has been received. I've looked through it. I'm assuming that everybody else has. We did give them a permit or two. They applied for it, and we approved for the demolition portion. Everything's in order for the permit. Unless anybody had anything that they want to discuss, I would recommend that we approve it.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, same sign. There. 2801 Brentwood, remove and replace deck and stairs and a roof, and a roof deck. This is the deck is existing. The existing deck is encroached into the setback by 2 feet. If they were just going to replace the deck, that wouldn't be an issue, but they want to put a screen and porch in, which would be an increase in volume on a non-conforming lot that is into the setback, which we can't approve. So we've been back and forth. Unfortunately, I haven't connected. The owners were out of town. They're now back. I'm going to talk to them about, see if they want to modify their plans to cut the deck back and do the screen porch over a cut back deck. And if they don't want to do that, then we'll have to deny it, which I will send you guys a copy of, and they could go to the BZA with that.
Larry, did we get coverage calculations there too?
Yes.
Okay, and they were okay because they are adding new stuff.
Well, I told them to wait until I talked to you guys and explained everything, or I'm sorry, I told you guys that would wait until I talked to them when they got back from vacation. I want to make sure they have all the information. I did talk to them about coverage calculations. Lou, I don't know if you talked to the contractor, did you? Yeah. About coverage calculations. Did he supply those?
Yes, we do.
Larry?
They said that really, it's all about setback.
Yeah.
So they're still going to be conforming even with the new stairs in terms of coverage calculations?
The coverage is acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're under 35%, but it's the encroachment into the setback, and then the volume would force us to deny it.
Yeah, we just need to make sure if there's two issues that they know that and they go to BZA with both of them. So they don't come back here after they get BZA approval for the increased volume in the setback, and then they say, oh yeah, covered.
I'll make sure that when I talk to them.
All right, Larry, Joe, sorry, if you're done with that, I was just curious if you wanted to make a comment about 18. You went over that one, and 29 24 local, 4. Minus, you have something written down, then that's fine. Or did you want to say it?
Oh, I'm sorry, I must have crossed the line. Anything else in 2801 Redwood? Okay, let's go to 2924 Loma Portal. I think the building was just walked in here, the drawings, but we don't have to, it didn't make the cut.
He said, email, to us.
I see it. Okay. So we're, basically the comment there was the correct information is still, we're waiting on it. Yeah. The next one's in, we're going to get considered at the next meeting. Thanks, Joe. Last under old business is 1517 Lakeshore Drive. I'm going to have to recuse myself. You could see here, that's a land disturbance permit. We needed, at the last meeting, we needed topographic site plans where we changed the topography. And we have not received any new information since the last meeting. And I'll let Pete take over.
We didn't receive the new information, we can't evaluate.
So I'll move to table.
Second.
Maybe if you comment on it, I did email it last Friday. I asked come out. Goldie and the most current site survey.
I didn't get it.
Who'd it come from? Who sent it?
I sent it.
Who, I'm sorry, your name.
Oh,
I need to
say this.
I want to start saying it again.
Michael Bayless, 1517 Lakeshore Drive. You read it Friday afternoon.
Additional documentation from Friday.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I didn't get it.
Did you send it to all of us? I figured it out.
Yeah, it looks like it went out to everyone.
Yeah, he sent it to everybody. I got it.
So what is the issue? He sent. I have to refuse myself, Joe. So Pete, what's
The issue was that some fill was moved onto town property, which has been deeded to the Save the Dunes. And we required approval from one of the site plan and staked out to say what was going to be moved, and approval from the other neighbors, being a neighbor to the east and the Save the Dunes, that it could be approved that that it could be corrected.
Did we get that information that you just said from the neighbors?
Save the Dunes is here.
I can't tell you what, I didn't get anything, but that doesn't mean anything, because I would accuse myself. I can tell you without making comment on anything, what's required. And what's required is a topographic survey of what is the current condition and a topographic survey of what is the condition that's being proposed. That's what is required.
So I haven't seen any approvals. Has anybody seen any approvals?
Well, Katie's here from Save the Dunes. So,
Yeah.
Katie, what, do you have something to say about this?
Do you want to come up here?
Yeah, actually, hit the button. You may have to hold it down. It did light up.
Something turned on.
Oh, it's okay.
Red one.
Hey.
Lines, it's good.
Okay, I think you can hear me. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Hopgood. I'm the program director at Save the Dunes. So we have actually submitted a permit as well, since some of the fill is on our property. So we do give approval for this project. Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Do we have a copy? Do we have a copy of that permit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we have
Yes, we got it before the last meeting.
It's from Save the Dunes.
Yes.
Do we vote? Do we ever do anything?
It didn't get in, it wasn't in on time for the last meeting, so it,
You guys find, the bill that is better now, unacceptable situation for you?
because it has construction debris in it, it does need to be removed.
Was your permit approved?
It wasn't submitted in time for the last meeting, so it has not been approved yet.
So it's not,
No. Hopefully it's on the
so we
agenda.
need to approve that first.
It's good. That would be terrific.
Okay, so,
The question is, do you have, again, not making comment, yay, nay, or whatever. The question is, do you have the information? You need to have a topographic survey. The permits, is what is existing and what they want to change. So what's there now and what's proposed.
I understand.
And that's what you need to be able to.
let me just ask the question for clarity. So I do have March 20, and it's 2 documents, and then
Yeah.
and that's the entirety of what you submitted. I just
There-
wanna make sure.
Yeah, the two permits are for the same project, so the same site plan, the same topographic map, it's all, like, it's one project over two properties.
I do not have the information necessary to approve these permits.
We got 7 documents from Mr. Valucci. Okay, it was on April 7th. We got the date survey, current date survey, the large legend, copy of LaPorte County Beacon parcel map, the sand removal area in Stockwell Woods, the Stockwell Woods Nature Preserve deed, and copy of the Beacon parcel showing the Save the Dunes property.
We're gonna have to make a motion to do something because I'm not.
So the sand got moved. It got found by the building commissioner, by the inspector, that the sand was moved onto a neighboring property. Save the Dunes, right?
Yes.
And so a fine was, or a citation was, well, I see a citation on here.
Yeah, that wasn't anything to do with these permit applications.
Well, it's for sand, moves, the permit was it's for sand, moving sand, right?
All this for enlarging a parking area,
Yeah,
which is down the street,
which involved moving sand, though, right?
but the parking area was not enlarged. It's been the same, and it's actually less than it's been because sand has come down from previous construction.
So what was the permit or the citation issued for? What did that say?
That was for enlarging the parking area.
That's in a different area, Bob.
Okay,
Yeah, this is up at the top of the hill behind our house.
yeah,
And that was down at the street level in front.
So is the question, we're just looking for a permit for you guys to do the remediation and remove the sand and
Yeah,
make it better?
Yes,
yeah. This is sand from the foundation being dug for the house. So it's been there since 2018.
I don't know why we wouldn't approve that.
All right, so. So I'm just, so you mentioned two, if you said, if I understood, you mentioned 2 parking spaces. I don't, the 1 parking space is down by Lakeshore Drive. I understand that. I've driven by there.
That's the only one.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so then what are we saying that this happened behind the house besides litter and building materials, et cetera.
Nothing's happened.
All you're asking, and both of you are asking the same thing. You're asking that somebody come along, you guys somehow, clean up the mess, whatever the mess is, I'm just using a word, clean up the mess, not change the elevation of the property, and just have it clean and do it in a manner that would not disrupt the property. Is that
What
kind of what
we,
you're saying?
what we want to do is go back to the original topographical position before this was put there. That is correct.
Now, is the original, probably my words aren't the best, is it steeper or does it have a higher slope or lower slope? Does it bad, is it that much different than what it is now?
Yeah, you have 65 and 70 pounds of sand.
That's there now,
Yeah,
that wasn't.
correct. It was dug out somewhere through the foundation of the house.
And that does not disrupt anything you're trying to do with say you're doing.
No, we like
And if you'd like that sand removed,
full construction.
and it has to be removed and cleaned. Peter? Yeah. Is that kind of what you understand that we're talking about? Let's talk about one area first. The area behind the house, let's talk about that. Is that you're involved? You're not involved with anything, I'm sure. But behind the house, they just want to remove excess sand. I'm hearing was dug up from the foundation or whatever. They want, with that, they want to remove whatever garbage there is from the construction. And they want to do it in a proper manner. Is that in the crux of the town?
Yes.
That's the way I understand it, but to do that, we asked for the topographic surveys, the existing one and the proposal. I don't have it. And
The proposed one is the April survey that we did submit.
when?
Originally 2 weeks ago, and then again last Friday, everybody.
Sorry that I don't have it.
It came on April 7th, Pete.
Yeah, no, Pete's email, but the email got sent to, Pete says it's not his email, so we gotta fix that, because somehow the town thinks that's his email.
Can I ask the question?
And we also, and there was also debris on the neighbor's property.
The neighbor's property won't be touched. It's all staked out now, there's flags all around what we want.
But was there construction debris put on his property?
No,
No, those cinder blocks weren't there. I saw broken cinder blocks in the pictures I had, no? No, there.
those crews, as part of his project to build a fire pit there.
We're talking about something that Mr. Tate is going to create for you, but I'm looking at a document, maybe from March 1st. And is this the same document you're talking about?
Was a new topographic survey prepared?
That's what we received on March 1st.
No.
What is that compared to what you hear of people?
I have this stated March and this is.
Is that over? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, provided this energy.
And so
So there's the current survey, nothing that's changed there. The other survey that you have from April of 2021 showed the original topographical area back here. Why you didn't carry this one. That. Right. So that's what we want to go back to. So now, as far as a current topographical survey, say the Dunes doesn't have one for their property and we don't have one for ours.
That's what we
And
need.
talk to, it would take them a couple months to do that.
But
But we do have the target that we want to go to.
But that's what we agreed to at the last meeting.
Yeah, Larry, and Pete, this is Chris. And I know Larry's recused himself. That is the crux. And that was the concern, I believe, that was conveyed last time is it isn't an easy ask, as Mr. Bayless just said, in terms of timing, but I mean, it's a necessary part of the process that you guys have communicated there.
At the last meeting, the survey that was presented had a date of December 4th, 2010, and there was some writing on it. And at that meeting, we said we needed a new topographical survey.
Okay, yeah.
So between last meeting and this, was a new topographical survey prepared? Yes.
The latest meeting, I believe, when I went over the recording, you wanted a current survey, so that is the current survey. The original drawing is this.
I guess it's not good. We said we wanted a new topographical survey. That's what we said. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I said. And current means current, not current, current old, current today.
Okay.
That's what we asked for. And that should have all the proposed on it, the grading and everything. And
Well, the current one will be as is now.
Yeah.
And can we accept the one from April of 21 being what we're going to, because that's what it was before?
That's what you're planning on restoring it to, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess,
So that one's acceptable.
yeah, so we need a topographic survey for how it exists now. Okay,
Okay.
all right. So I repeat my motion to table.
Oh,
second,
is it open for comment?
Yep.
Okay. I apologize, but I'm just breaking it up. That's one piece, and I don't know how much difference it is. Is there anything that we're discussing on Lake Shore Drive? Instead of, because you're talking about behind the house and better. Are we have any questions that, so we have this perfectly clear. Are we asking any questions about anything that's on Lake Shore Drive? And because I think that was part of what was said, that there possibly was a additional parking space. Is that still an issue? Or where are we at with that piece? There's a motion on the floor again, and one of you guys has to handle it.
I made a motion. Did somebody second it?
they did.
Okay, so, and made second. All in favor, say aye.
And I thought we were in conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Larry, okay, I'm sorry. Are you conversing?
Because that's my question.
I'm sorry. Repeat.
My question is, we're talking about, there are two different sites that we're talking about, the site behind the house and the site on Lake Shore Drive. And do we have an issue with the site on Lake Shore Drive? Or is there one issue that we have, or do we have two?
I'm only talking about behind the house. I don't know anything about Lakeshore Drive right now.
Well, one of the question that came up at the last meeting is there is, what do you call it? Topographical lines on this that extend down to Lakeshore Drive. Now, is that something that's new, something that's old, something that's proposed? I don't understand. Because
I believe that's where the issue came up about an additional parking space. The one on Lake Shore Drive. And do we have any issues with that?
Go here and down.
Yeah, this is the proposed to be changed, and we give the total information, what it is, and write a proposed, and you need another one that says what's proposed.
Okay. Joe, do we have a problem with not enough parking in that residence?
I don't know because I believe that's, and I don't want to speak for Lou, he's right here, but I believe, wasn't that someplace where the ticket was involved with? that was that issue, no. All I'm asking is that issue resolved, and that's fine. I'm not bringing it up, good, bad, or different.
So who is that resolved? The parking space?
Yes, the spot was changed. They pushed up, stand from the street to widen, the parking area.
What they did, you're okay with?
I have photographed the proof. Yeah, it's fine, okay, but,
Okay, so it's fine. So
They
do
changed
we
it.
need to concern ourselves?
right.
Good. Okay, so we're talking just the back.
Is that right or not?
Well, that's the major issue here. You know, we've gone back and forth with the county assumptions, but, Terry, there's the big rule, and today is the first day I heard about construction on the street. In the sand, on, state dunes, rock. That was not something we waited for. But they wanted to move 70 tons of sand. Majority of it being, in the, what was there, the wall, the number, sorry, 85% of it was, honestly, I think this.
So what is the status of parking on this property?
There's parking spaces on the street, parallel parking spaces.
Yeah, but there's a requirement to have parking on the property. Not on the street.
Well, the slope goes up really quickly, and, all the area that's flat, that's available to park on, is top driveway.
Well, there's a structure here that looks like to be a concrete. Is that still there? Is there a concrete like end?
It's the drywall that's underground.
It's what? Underground?
Yeah, drywall.
It's covered?
Yeah. By the hill.
Okay.
So where do you park on your property now?
On the parallel parking.
Parallel parking on the town right away.
Correct.
And that's always been like that.
It's at least, I've got a picture from 1942, yeah.
Okay.
Actually shows it more than what it is now. Because of the sand coming down. Right.
So the lack of parking places is not a new thing. It's not like new construction that doesn't have enough parking. It's.
Yeah, simply look, they should put a little more stand back up in the.
We could well just see your photograph that you have as evidence, we else we haven't seen it.
Before and after.
Yeah.
You can send that to us, that would be great.
Under the advice of the contractor.
Well, it's written information yet, we can get it.
Yeah.
You have a citation out there, so it's our right to get it.
Well,
I talked to Chris after the last meeting, he said that conversation never had, he never precluded you from sharing it.
you never what?
He never precluded you from sharing it.
So we can
In
talk.
other words, you say that, you know, there's whole that's all.
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor. How do you guys want to handle it?
So, Chris, do you have a problem with Lou sharing the photograph of the parking area?
What kind of,
I'm sorry,
So
say
that
that
we get rid of any, he said, she said, whatever the problem is, I will get with Lou, I will get what he has, and I will share them because this is all turning into much more than it should be. So that'll be the easiest way. That way Lou's not put in a spot where, you know, he said something or he hasn't disclosed, and I will take care of it, and I will copy the building commission so that everybody's on the same page.
All right,
I don't think the parking is an issue if it hasn't changed at all from what he's always been doing. Move some dirt.
I can help you with that, but the problem is I can't, I'm gonna have to talk to my lawyer to find out if I can help you
okay,
get through this.
all right.
I mean, I certainly.
Let's get that, he'd get things all squared away for the next meeting, so we're ready for people to see. So I would repeat that we have a motion and a second on the floor to table. Chris is gonna get together with you and with Lou, and hopefully we can get this all resolved in the next meeting with this time. Okay, all right, so motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Back to you there.
Okay, thanks. Next up is new business. Sherwood Hills came to us, or came to me about 3 weeks ago and asked about their porta potty and put a enclosure around it. And I told them that we can't do that because it's not behind the setback.
They want to do this at their property.
Right, we told them last year, they could put a porta potty, right, and they did it.
At their stop.
And you can't put a structure on, put it in the citizens building. So,
Okay,
you can't,
I was pretty sure they would have to go to the BCA anyway.
yeah, you can't do that. You cannot put a structure on the property unless there's a principal residence there. We run into that situation on property on Lakeshore Drive, where they were wanting to do a lot of landscaping property that was not consolidated with the neighborhood property.
Got it. All right, I'll explain to them and then tell them probably the best just to do is going to be to go to the BCA.
Just a quick comment is, if they do go to the BZ, whatever, there should be investigation on who owns what property, because they do not own the bus stop.
Okay. Would you let me in? I may have to share some documents on some of these tonight. I came back in, but I don't know if I'm in yet or.
You're in there.
Okay. Hopefully there's no feedback from my machine. Okay, next up, 16-week Nichols Court, decking and stairs. I'm gonna bring something up. I think this is actually much more simple than I think most of us seem, and even, I don't know, say even me, but I think it was kind of difficult to. Let me see if I can share my screen here. And I'll put it up. See. I don't know why this isn't showing up.
Did you double click on your PDF, Larry?
There we go. Can you guys see that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the existing stairs are switchback, or there's two sets of stairs. If you see the stairs, see where this gray area is? The stairs come out and then they come down. There's a landing here and then they come back down. So those stairs are 2 foot into the side setback. See the 10-foot setback line here?
And they're 6-foot stairs now, right?
Right. Well, they're 2 3-foot stairs. You see this? Where this gray is?
Yeah,
So you come on stairs and then there's a landing and then you come back down the stairs.
okay.
Okay, so it's 2 sets of stairs. And you switch back and you walk down one and then you go to the other. What they'd like to do is they'd like to, pardon me, make these stairs 6 foot wide. So they're not increasing the encroachment be the same encroachment. I think the issue for us is going to be, then they want to put this landing down here,
Along
a deck here, and then come down here with 6 foot wide steps. Is that your understanding?
I think there's about 48-inch wide stairs.
Okay, if they go to a 48-inch, I'm gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
Trying to do it on my machine. Got your one.
So, it's a switchback with a landing in between, okay? If they put stairs straight down from the deck towards the driveway, okay? And then
make the turn parallel to the deck. See this?
Yeah.
So right now, you come upstairs, and then you walk down some stairs, and you come to a landing, and then you walk down the stairs. And those stairs are into the setback, okay? You guys, so what they were talking about, it was going to make these 6 foot wide, so it would still be the same amount here into the setback. But this then would be a big deck landing area. That is something that we couldn't say, if you just replace the set, this would require a variance.
Yes.
So when Luke talked about it, correctly, they came up with a second plan, which would be if they would take, just go 4 foot in there, and with a 4 foot back here, and then come down. And if they do that,
Then they're not in the setback.
right, then they're not in the setback and we can approve it.
So the 6 foot wide plus landing, 6 foot wide stairs plus landing would increase the coverage in.
Right, in the setback, but if they go to 4 foot stairs, 4 foot landing, and they come down this way, then they're okay. And that's the second, that's why we got them revised.
And Larry, what you're saying, the only thing that's gonna be in the setback is existing now in the setback. It's not
The
gonna be,
existing is in the setback now.
and it's not gonna be increased.
If they go to 4 foot, there'll be nothing.
Nothing, oh, you mean even for what's in the setback too? Oh, they do the whole thing?
It would be completely out of the setback.
So, oh,
I could approve it without it. It's only 2 feet in the setback right now.
yeah, so they're gonna take the 2 feet out of the setback.
Well,
There'll be nothing in the setback.
right, they go to 48.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's. Hold on, yeah, just come up, yeah, it's it, that red line comes on the.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you can show you there, I can.
yeah. So exactly what you just explained is what's going on is that there's a switchback on the stairs. Okay, and so it's 2 feet over encroachment. It's actually probably 1.5 feet if you really measured it. So, but you know, whatever the drawings, you know, whatever the site originally said, I'm gonna go with that. So we wanted to go with the stairs going straight down into a landing, so it's safer and more comfortable, and then turn right like you were saying, and then go down another set of stairs, you know, inward towards the property. And since it's only 2 feet and we're not actually increasing the setback, we were hoping that we could just replace and repair.
We could do that if the new landing in the front didn't go into the setback.
I understand.
If you could figure it out to do it that way, that's fine. But when the new landing, the old stairs, you could remove and replace.
Okay,
Okay, if you want to make it 6 foot wide, you're removing and replacing. Then the issue comes down into this spot right here.
Yeah.
That's new, right?
right.
Right. We can't, you could do this if you went, or I shouldn't say you could, you have to go to the BZA to ask them if you could build this into the setback. If you want to go with 4 foot wide stairs and do what you're doing and make this 4 foot wide here, we can approve it.
Okay, so let me play it this way just for one second.
Sure.
All right, can I walk up to there?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Don't touch it. So I could go this way with this.
Yes.
And not cross that setback. If I was to do this, okay, and then stop there and then make this smaller.
You could do that.
It's setback. That would be something.
Right? Does everybody follow this?
That's all I'm doing is from this.
Okay, the new would be 4 foot and the old would stay 6 foot is what you're saying. Is that correct?
What I'm saying is that the old would be replaced. The new over here would go exactly in the same spot that it was. And then over here, since we're concerned
Yes.
increasing, it would go down to 4 feet.
That's right. We can approve that here.
When you go down the stairs with this 6 foot stairs,
Yes, sir.
how are you gonna get to your landing? Because you're gonna step right across that corner, right? You build this like it is,
Right.
and then you've got to get to this landing, but this isn't here anymore.
Right.
So you're gonna have to step across this corner.
This would be, you know, just be a corner of a gate, you know, not a gate, but fencing. but it wouldn't be falling off. This just would be a wider deck. I'm trying to keep this as wide as I can. Sure. Because it's safer to move groceries and dogs and children up and down the stairs. But if I can keep this at 6, like it is already, that would be much safer for myself and my family. And going through a narrow opening here, 4 feet, it's not a big deal because it's no pain.
So, yeah, the 4 foot would not be in the setback, the units would not be in the setback.
And right now,
If the unit's got a setback, we can. Okay.
okay, so do we probably need that on a stand, because right now we've got alternatives. We need the final plan.
Excuse me, I'm Dan's wife. Can I mention something?
Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle, 1608, Michelle Teresa. I submitted. Do you mind if I speak? Permission to speak? I think Dan and I talked about this. We would, if your request is to ask us to provide additional drawings and then come back the next meeting, I think we both agreed in advance that we would just rather get it approved today. So if you can approve it, we can make like an angled stair but if you need a drawing for that, I think, right, Dan, like we really want to just get it approved. So we would be whatever's easiest for us and you guys to get it approved. Like we don't want this to turn into, a whole big deal either. So we just want this to be as efficient as possible. We'd like to keep the landing wider just because we want to put a locked door there. But if we can't, and you require additional information in order to make like an angled landing at the bottom when it goes in the front, am I speaking out of turn, Dan, and just saying that we'd like to we'll move it into the setback, whatever you guys want us to do, just so we can get it approved today?
Michelle, yeah, we could approve the stairs at the 6 to remove and replace at the existing. The only thing that we can't approve is the new section to go over the setback, and as your husband said, I'm sorry, I forget your first name, but
Yeah.
Danny. Then that would be, you would just make that lower section 4 feet. And
Yeah,
you would
if we can.
give us a drawing, then that's what you're doing. We all know what you're doing, but before you do it, you have to give us a drawing. I don't know that we need to push it to the next meeting.
No.
Do we? I
No,
think we
as far as I'm
can,
concerned, if you look
but
at
you would have to make sure that we have a drawing before you start. Okay?
Okay.
Just for my pleasure, I found this. So the dark right now is a deck.
That's correct.
Is that correct? And this here is stairs and that's stairs, correct? This is stairs here, this green stuff,
Yes.
and that's stairs, or what is this green stuff?
So this would be proposed.
Sorry.
This would be proposed deck also.
Oh, so you want to add a deck? Is that new deck going to be over here?
No.
It's going to stay behind.
Yes.
So what's this going to be, stairs?
This has. Michelle, do you know Joey's?
I think this, honestly, honey, and everybody involved, I think we should just go with the 4 feet and get it approved and we'll do it within the 4 feet. I think it's just the easiest, cleanest way and then we don't have to, I think it'll be fine. I think we'll just work with it. If we have to bump out anything because of safety reasons, we'll contact you and make sure we get it approved. And it will definitely be within that 6 feet that's already there.
Okay, I understand exactly what you want to do, and I think Lou does. If everybody approves it today, and you give us a drawing of what we just discussed before you start, we're going to be fine with it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Do the stairs in the same section, and you're not going to do anything new over the 4 foot line. We're going to be good with it. Just give us a drawing. So I'm going to ask these guys for a motion, and then we'll do it. Okay?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Say that it would all be 4 feet, is that what you
Yes,
said?
ma'am. Yes, sir.
Well, no, they just said it would be all 4 feet.
Well,
But we're mixing two different things. What we've got right now is that they're gonna do the stairs at 6 foot wide where the stairs are existing at 6 foot wide. And then with the new section down at the landing and any new deck that they do on the other side is only gonna be 4 foot. So anything new will not move into the setback. And if that's the motion, then we'll move forward with that, and then they just have to provide a drawing for it.
That's the, okay.
But all of this will stay in the setback, correct?
No, it won't stay in the setback. The only thing that will stay in the setback is where it is 6 foot wide existing. The green sections that are drawn on there, Joe, that's not a correct drawing anymore. They're gonna provide us with the correct drawing so that it's only the stuff that's existing that is in the setback. Okay?
Yes.
So we just gave the drawings so the building inspector knows what he's looking at.
I'd like to see the drawing.
Right.
You can,
It's gonna come to us before any work would be done, but I don't think it's put it off to another meeting.
I will give it to you next week and we will, I promise you, we will not build into the setback.
Actually, we won't give you the permit until we have the drawing.
No, I'm saying like I'll have it to you next week, I promise.
Unless you want a $500 fine in the second day.
No, I don't. I just want everything to go smoothly.
Okay, man.
Yes, first and latest.
Yes, we do. Who's the motion?
That's not the way we work.
I made the motion, Joe, or Pete seconded it. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Joe is present. Okay, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks. 2309 Foxdale, coverage calculations, which include the pavers. 2020 Belvedere fence. Joe, didn't you tell me that we already issued that? All right, that was a mistake on my part. 26. 2303 Idlewood Trailer. Yeah.
It's 20,003. It's 20.
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. It's 20003. Those are the drawings by Larry Zimmer. Gary Green sent them in. The only thing it's renovating an existing home completely and adding second floor. The only thing that we need that I can see is we have to make sure that the elevation is 33 foot in height. I thought I had expressed that to Larry and Gary, but I did not see it on the drawing. And we also need a copy of the septic permit. 1300 Lakeshore Drive. That is the old Adele property. And part of that property is everybody, I think, would remember that was in Michigan City. And there is in the Esplanade, which is Michigan City's section that is owned by the Michigan City Park Department, is about a 6 or 8 foot wide concrete walkway with a concrete railing on it. And it's in pretty tough shape. So they asked us if it was okay to remove it. I told them that it was okay to remove it, but the problem is we can't give them permission to remove the portion that is in the Michigan City area because we don't have jurisdiction. I said, once they get that, we would certainly give them permission unless anybody sees anything wrong with that. Yeah.
Larry,
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
we don't have anything in writing from them, right? We don't have a permit application or anything. I don't see anything.
No, this is the house that's existing.
Okay, I need to build the house. Okay.
So in other words, we gave a permit to build a brand new house. They built the house. This concrete walkway in the Michigan City Esplanade. You're familiar with the property. It's got a big.
No, everybody's here.
You want me to pull it up? Yeah.
No, I know exactly where.
Okay, so
I know exactly.
I just told them, you can't take it, we don't have jurisdiction there, so I talked to Chris and we can't give them permission to do anything with Michigan City's Park Department property. So they have to get the information from them.
Okay, good. Only other question that you brought up that property, and I don't know what we ever did. I was just went through everything, looking for anything. On February 23rd, they submitted a permit of a sort for wiring. Did we ever,
For what?
for, there, it's basket.
Hey Larry, could you stop screen sharing this deck stairs so the rest of us in Zoom land can observe the proceedings?
Sorry. Thanks.
This is, an installation of low voltage networking wiring with appliances. Low voltage.
That's to be part of the electrical, I sort of, but that shouldn't be a new permit, right?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
2907 Belle Plain. This is a remove and replace, but it is over 35%. And so they're removing and replacing with no increase in footprint. I think it's 38 or 39%. And since it's remove and replace, I think that we can allow that. Is everybody in keeping with that?
Yes.
No change. So definitely no change in coverage, right?
No, no change in coverage.
Because what I saw wasn't clear, but we clarified that now.
Yes.
I didn't hear.
He wants to make sure that there's no change in coverage.
Yeah, no, it's an elevated deck. The fence goes around the perimeter of the deck. What we're doing is removing the appendages and putting in a new fancy pad of art for elevators. So it's fully covered right now, and they're just going to take the old paper dock and put new papers.
Okay, great. Next up is stop 16. Joy, I don't know if you want to speak to this, but it's just an extension for repair.
Right, stop 16 is just a replace and repair of some existing boardwalk and a bench that they didn't do last year, and the work is going to be done by the residents of stop 16.
Normally, this wouldn't, it wouldn't even be brought to the building commission, but because it's town-owned property and park department property, I thought we should. Same thing was at stop 19. It's just a repair and replacement, and adding a bench on an existing coverage. Right, Joy?
We're adding two new things at stop 19. One, we're enlarging the existing little concrete pad where you park strollers and stuff. That's up at the top. And then down at the bottom, we are adding a new bench, but it's all within town property.
So that should be okay too. The stop 29, that's really just a repairs of the existing walkway and elevated stairway.
Right, this year we're just shoring up what's there, and so he's got to pour some new footings. We've got some weak points. He's got to shore up some post sections with bracing and install some new 4x4s. We're going to do more extensive work on stop 29 next year, the following year, but this year we just want to make sure everything's shored up.
I would just want to make sure that Lou, when they go do, make sure Lou puts down and checks. That is a good plan. Right?
No, they didn't give us any plan for the different places.
I just want to understand it.
Well,
They're what they're doing with there's the footings out of the towns that are above grade. In other words, sand washed out. So what they want to do is they want to put across the footings down, their support buildings. That is, so I just want to make sure that you're involved.
yeah, you need to meet with Zach. He's in town today and he's here.
It's going to start. Even.
It's going to start on
But even
19.
who's speaking, right?
Okay.
Everybody else.
Freddie's going to start on stop 19 and tell him to call Lou before he starts.
Yes, he should call me before he starts all three.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And I can meet you at 29 if you want to. Okay. Stop, or not stop 32, number 32. You know, before I keep going, maybe we should. Sir?
Yes, you already picked there. There's the Belle Plain.
Oh, you already know?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I should have had you come up so we didn't have to sit through all this stuff. So,
Good, I just.
unless you want me to say it. Can we get you a desk? Okay. 3007 Monroe. This permit appears to be approvable. It was just a very strange application that was signed by 2 or 3 different people, but it's approvable. Does this fall into the
I have a question.
clear? Yes, this falls into the not clear application. It was, the permit was signed by a company instead of an individual, but then Deanna clarified the information for us. And then this is the type of thing that's not going to get when we get stuff online. I mean, you either put it in correctly or it's not, you know, it's a, I don't know if it's called fail safe or whatever. But
So
what do they do? What would they do?
All interior model.
It's all interior stuff, kitchen, flooring, some other items.
And is this a real estate or is this going to be a living quarters?
No, it's a house. That's the problem, Joe. When I saw it, it looked like it was somebody, the permit is, they name of a real estate firm.
Right.
And then it was signed by somebody that said real estate firm. And Deanna, I questioned it, or I don't know, was it you that said it?
Yeah.
Got the information and that individual was the owner's representative or something. Okay, we need to get into 31. Sure. That's the one on the corner or the signage. Okay, the real estate office. The real estate office. Yeah. Well, it's in the conference room, in the real estate office. It's now a king size.
Say what?
A king size. Okay, can we hit this at the end of the deal things? Okay, 2205 Hoagland. This, it says it's a remove and replace drawing. It looks like it's got a staircase drawn in the drawing that wasn't there. So we need to check with Big Four and make sure that that's, yeah, we need to check with Big Four.
Is there more than just what the development drawing? Yeah, the one on Oval, right?
Yes.
And then it looks like there's some stairs, and I don't know if they're new
That
stairs.
was in question. The stairs are drawn in, so if the stairs are not existing, then we use coverage calculations. If it's just a remove and replace, then we can approve it. So we want to make sure that we know that before we approve.
Because that's his words. He says, remove 5 steps stairway and rebuild. That's, but again,
But the drawing contradicts that because we just want to make sure.
okay, so that's all. They haven't started inspection.
No. I don't think they have it. I haven't. Okay. 2513, I'm gonna have to recuse myself. It's a job that my company's doing.
2303.
Oh, did I skip one?
18.
2303 Hazelton, new 3-season room. We need site plan with setbacks and coverage calculator. And also there's septic information with it. And I don't know if they're asking for, there's a septic permit included. I'll share with you.
That's Larry. Let me know when you got a minute.
April 5th. Yeah, go ahead, Joel. I'll write something here.
A couple of things on this property. Number one, that I have to believe they're not putting in a new septic because they did put in a new septic. And there's actual permit with this. There was a new, and I think it was by the previous owners. There was a new septic that was put in 2021, August. It's on the thing. And I remember the work being done there. But the issue that might be involved here is back to our old corner lot. And he's got to have 30-foot setbacks from both streets.
Right, and that's why on here, we need setbacks with the coverage calcs on there. We don't have it on it, so.
Because he
it's part of what we mentioned earlier. We really shouldn't be considering this because we don't have all the information. So when we get that information, we'll bring it back.
Yes, I could, in general, are they putting that?
You know, here's the sketch, Pete, if you want to look up on the screen.
I mean, there's, I don't see that they have one.
That's why we need the site plan, because the drawing that we have is not a site plan, it's just.
He's given, he had, we tried all that, what he did give us is a surveyor location report.
Okay. Does that show, property lines? Then,
Here's what Joe's talking about.
Right there.
You can look up on the screen and see. There's a brick patio. We need a site plan is what we need. Whether they can go back to their, whoever did this one for them and have that guy draw it in, we'll be fine. Okay? All right. 2513 Lakeshore Drive. I'll recuse myself. This is a remove and replace on some trim on the house that has been damaged by rodents.
It's just.
Pardon me? Right, it normally wouldn't even come to the building commission, but
Okay.
because it's me, I thought I'd better.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay, 1922 Lakeshore Drive. This came up again, we denied it one time. The architect sent me an email last week and asked if we would reconsider because they feel because it is a side lot or a lot that's on the west side of the main property that is not fenced on the front, but our ordinance is pretty specific. And I'll read it. It's 154.55B, which states all fences located between the building line or the front building foundation line and the front property line abutting the street or place shall not exceed 4 feet in height nor be greater than 12 inches in thickness or width. Their proposal is for a 6-foot-high fence, and that fence is between the building line and Lakeshore and the street. So it has to be 4 foot. So I, unless anybody has any other comments, I will send another denial out and then tell them they would appeal that decision to the BZA.
Did we get a copy of this permit application?
It's not a permit application. We denied the first one. He just sent me an email. I wanted you guys to understand, and I'll send you guys copies of it, but I wanted you guys to just unless you had any other feedback. Yes.
Just so you know, we received a permit, a basic improvement building permit application on September 13th, 2022. And that's for this project. And we denied it at wow, but we denied it.
Okay.
So let's review this again now. They want to, now they're going to get 4-foot fence along Lakeshore Drive.
No, they still want to put a 6-foot fence. They're making the argument or for discussion that because the lot, you want me to read you, would you like me to read this email?
Didn't they make this argument to the BZA?
How about this? I'll just I'll read this to you. I don't think I can put this on the screen. Given that there isn't a building on this property, it is worded analogous to a side yard in the front. Thus the height shall not be a problem. The current fence is actually located behind the facade line of both neighboring homes
and we do not intend to change its location. Or look at it another way, this vacant lot is essentially an extension of the Wentz property, eastern property. Thus, it is in their side yard, pulled back from both their home and their taller grandfather ornamental front yard fence. So it all appears in keeping with the spirit of the ordinance, it won't create an intrusive wall element tightening up Lakeshore Drive.
So in the future, if that lot gets split, if somebody built a property there, then we've created a.
Well, and not only that, even if it'll look at, well, I'll use myself as an example. I own 3 lots. My house is on one and there's 2 on each side. Each one of those lots is on Mayfield Way.
Yeah.
So the front of the lot is on Mayfield Way,
Yeah.
regardless of whether I own it or the neighbor. Yeah. So the fence would still have to conform to the ordinance. Yeah. Okay, we got here 31. Did I miss something? Is there something else? Any other comment from the? Yeah. What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to. We're gonna, I'll make my comments. Okay, and I was brought up earlier. That, what do we call it, bus stop 31, that, the Charlotte.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, that number one, which I've always said, and that those people do not own that bus stop. That is still a bus stop that's in Lakeshore, in Long Beach, and they don't own the bus stop. And we went through this before with their signs and everything that they want, which, okay, BZA approves some stuff, but now they have a large, I think the sign is about 6 foot. I don't know if you ever saw a large sign right by the bus stop saying this, and all that other stuff. I think number one, it's an illegal sign. We don't own signs that big.
I'll take a look. I haven't, and I drive by there all the time and I don't look.
And then just as a note, which I looked into this for everybody's benefit, in that when we brought in the Shoreland Hills, there's at bus stop 20, at bus stop 30, I think it is, the town owns a lot A in Shoreland Hills, that subdivision. And it does say when they decided who could use the bus stop, they said, and all residents are property owners of any property in Shoreland Hills. So therefore, there's no reason that they could ever stop any Long Beach residents from using that property because and the other comment I always had is, I don't know why we allow a Long Beach policeman to kind of monitor stuff that goes on at that stop.
Okay, Joe. I'll talk to them about that, but they're gonna have to go to the BZA and we can't do it. 3100 Lake Shore. Anything else from the building commission? No,
No, it's just, let's lose.
okay, you want,
Yes, I'm very long. Okay, I got, kind of on the side of the commentary about basically. We had a problem a long time ago. I think they're gonna, take it down and do something different about it because I don't think they have the intention of, running a real estate office there. Maybe a sign that says, drive down to, 13, stop 13 and or 14, wherever it is, there's our real estate office. I mean, there's no conference, besides that.
So bedroom, bed is in their office. No sign that there's any business going on there in terms of real estate, is that right?
No, they don't general with real estate there, they had to rent it.
And so there's only for commercial, I believe, right?
I was even asked that. I'm gonna ask Pete. I think Pete knows. It is residential. When that piece was next, they were allowed, to operate a real estate office. But I never officially changed the original.
So it's zoned for residential,
Yes.
and a bed would suggest it's residential, right? So, I mean, do we have any, is there anything we can or should do about that?
I think you're a little bit above my pay grade.
It's supposed to be used for the state office. If they want to make it a residence, that's fine, but then they can't return it to us, to a real estate. That was part of the agreement. Similarly with the house. Property. Well, here's the problem. We could real estate.
So Chris, do we need to send a letter to that real estate company and say, are you in fact using this as a real estate office? Because if not, you know, your resident, your whatever it is, easement or variance or whatever to allow you to do real estate is expired or is null and void. Chris, you still there?
What? Yeah, I'm here. Did you say what would be null and void though?
Well, they were given permission to keep the real estate office running there, despite the fact that it's a residential area.
That's why I wanted to clarify. I didn't know if you said variant. I mean, they don't.
Whatever they, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't need permission. They're grandfathered as a non-conforming use. I don't think there's anything you need to do, but I think that they are approachable so that you can confirm what their intention is. Once they relinquish that grandfathering of the non-conformance, it becomes residential unless and until they get a variance or it's rezoned in the future. So I don't know that you need to be proactive on anything other than trying to clarify. I don't think they're under any obligation to acknowledge other than, you know, being good, you know, quote unquote, good citizen for lack of a better description. But I mean, I don't know. Once it's stopped, once it's used for residential purposes, that's what it is. They've waived and that business will no longer be valid, that business use.
Mm-hmm. Have there any tax implications for them being a business versus a residence?
Yeah, it'll be better for them to be probably residents versus having commercial rates for sure.
Chris, do you have that acquiescence document for that section? That's what clearly lays out what should be done.
I can't really hear you, Pete.
When the property was acquiesced, as opposed to annexed, that's all the agreements were laid out in that. And that would have been done about 5 years ago, I think. And that would say whose obligations, because there's another property there that was constantly being rented, less than 30 days. And that was part of that acquiescence document. They were allowed to continue until they, like you said, till they stopped. So that
I think we're making more of it though than it. I mean, honestly, it's an easy inquiry and seeing if they are or aren't. If it shows signs, you're within your purview to do it. I don't think there's a fight to be had here yet, unless you see them conducting business and we're trying to use it as a residence, right? I'm going to gather that eventually that's just going to be a residence and not a business, right? But it doesn't hurt you to ask that question, but I also don't think it's a fight quite yet because it benefits the town from a policy standpoint if it just becomes a residence and then we don't have the song and dance anymore of trying to see if that nonconformance is still in play or not. So, you know, my recommendation is to have a simple, you know, have Larry reach out. I can reach out however you'd like. I mean, as I've told you guys, I certainly don't have an issue contacting them however you want to do it, but there isn't a fight to be had yet. And hopefully there won't be one.
Go check on that sign. You want to knock on their door?
Sure.
Just ask the question.
And what are you checking on? And what's the issue with the sign?
It's huge.
We think Sheridan Beach has put a sign up that's too
Oh,
big.
I gotcha. You think it's bigger than what was approved for the variance?
I don't remember what was approved, but I'm told the sign is like 6 feet square or something.
I gotcha.
It's a rectangle that's probably about 5 feet high and about 2 feet, 3 feet wide.
I drive by it every day. I've never really looked at it, but I'll stop and look at it.
Now, the only other thing, and I don't know if it matters, Pete, if you guys remember that right there at that corner, it's on the lakeside, it's not R2 anymore, it's R1. Where what's his name built his house, that became an R1 property. And I don't know across the street if this location is also R1 or R2. I'm not really sure.
I'll have to take a note. Okay, anything else from the building commission?
So Larry, if you let me know which fine with that sign, I can look back and see what it is.
I will. I'll take a look at it probably today. If not, maybe over the weekend. Anything else?
Not for me.
One item which I did forget to put on here that Bob and Chief Swistek asked me to look at was stop 19. The house on the corner, I don't remember the exact address, but they had planted some tall arborvitae in front of and behind the tall sections of the pillars. And that, there's a couple problems with that. Number one, those are very fast growing evergreens. And in very short order, probably in a year, maybe a little over a year, a little less than a year, they will block the sight lines turning out of Monrovia later back west. And also, it's not on land that the homeowner owns. I stopped, I knocked on the door, they were home, I left the card and asked them to call me about it.
Yeah, you know, the other problem too is if they're planted right in front of the pillar on their corner. And, you know, I think as Larry said, those pillars are iconic. I don't think we could be allowed to even cover up our icons.
We don't want them to cover you up either.
That's right.
Okay. Anything else? Any public comment? Being none?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Joy, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.